In this video, we learn ngfor with trackby in Angular. So for that, I first in app.component.ts I create a list. Suppose I create a book list. So I first name it book list is equal to book list any. Is data type is any. We can use any data type, and then I create a constructor, and within the constructor I initialize this book list with some value. Suppose so this dot book list is equal to, we create a JSON structure. So first ID, suppose ID 1, then name, suppose I give the name as depth in C, and then price 350. Then I simply copy it, and after giving a comma I paste it in 3 times. So I suppose I change it in depth in C++, Java, and I write it as Python. So I also change it as ID2, ID3, and its ID4, and its price is 350. It's suppose 450, it's 550, and is 850. So I simply create a book list, and it is a JSON structure, JavaScript object notation structure. Now I create a function. So get book list. I create the get book list function, and I give it as return type void. And now in this function get book list, I copy this JSON. I We have to write this whole data again in this get book list, and here what I do, I add one extra get data. Suppose I want to add, I simply copy it and paste it. Suppose I write it as 5, and it is name as database management, and I give it as the price 650. Now go to the app.component.html. And what I do in the previous video, I show you how to use the ngfor and how to use the index variable. So for that I have to write the deep tag, and under this I write the ngfor loop. Let item of list, let I is equal to index, and then I plus 1 dot item dot value. In the previous video we saw it. Now in this case I create a for loop sub in table format. Suppose I create a table. So for table we have to first write the row and column. So first we have to write the row. For row, create row, we have to use the tr tag, and inside the tr tag we have to use the column field. So that's syntax is td. Td is the column. So in within the row we have to write the ngfor. So I write ng for is equal to let item of. So we create here app.component.ts the book list. So I have to traverse the book list. So I have to write the book list here. So item of book list array. What happened? I write as I bind it. So item dot, and here what I write, id, name, price. So item dot id, item dot name, and item dot price. So item dot id, I copy it, item dot name, and then item dot price. So now if I want to show the result in the browser, so we go to the browser, and after running the program as ngserve in cmd, and when we write localhost 4200 is the port number of the angular running in the browser, so we see that the value is so in the table format. So depth in C plus plus, Java programming, Python programming, and it is the price of that. Now we go to the Visual Studio Code, and now here what I do, after the table I create a button and I name it add a book add one extra book. So I give the button name add one extra book, and here what I write, I call a function. So click is equal to, so I call this function get book list. So I copy it and paste it. Now in app.component.ts I create a another function and I name it as track by book list and give it book list id, and then I initialize a variable index and it is a number. Its data type is number, and again, so I have to write the list book list and its data type any. Now it's return a string, so I give it a string, and here in this tag by list id I have to return book list dot id. So id. So I go to the app component.html. So when we click add one extra book, so it call this function get book list. So here this function is called get book list. So I go to the browser, and when we refresh it and when we click add one extra book, we see that the book 5 database management and is price 650 is added. Suppose I change the here I create another tier and I give td 3td. Suppose I book id here book name and then book price. So I here create another row and then book id book name book price. So if I go to the browser and refresh it, so this is book id book name and book price. So what happen when we click this add one extra book, it will be added, but it is replace the whole value. When this function is called get book list function is called, it will initialize this book list with whole value again, and then this value is initialized. So this whole value is again added. So this is the disadvantage of calling get book list function to add this extra value. So to avoid this, we have to use the track by method. So here when we use the track by, it will only added this value, not the whole value. So for that we have to write the track by in here. So here star ng, after the star ngfor I space a semicolon and write let track by and then this function track by list id. So we go to the browser again, and there is give me some error. So what the error is, template parts cannot read property to uppercase of undefined, and list add one extra book. Okay, I give it an extra let here. Again I so what happened? I give a let. We cannot initialize any value, so let is not be added here. So is only track by. And then if I refresh the browser and click it, it is since the we added extra value. But what is the facility of track by? It will not remove the whole value and again added this value. So track by is only used when we retain this value and add the another value. So in this case we use track by, and track by what it does in this get book list, this book list is remain at it is, and it saw that the extra number 5 is available, so it added this extra value to the book list. So this is how the track by is function. So we see how we can use track by in ngfor in Angular.